Us as parents always want the best for our kids. Today's documentary is about Jennifer Pan and her struggles with her family. This story is going to blow your mind. You're talking about manipulation, con artists, lies after lies. I'm Shavak from Studio 70, and let's just take this to the studio.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Studio 70. We'll introduce ourselves.
I'm your girl Shavak.
And you can call me Ed or as you, either one is fine. And before we get into this documentary review of what Jennifer did.
Yes, this is for education, entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research and always be kind to everyone, friends, family, strangers.
Everyone, everywhere. And today we are going to talk about, you guessed it, let's see what we got here. What Jennifer did. Whoa, what did she do? Well, you're going to find out.
Yeah.
It's been on Netflix for a It's been on Netflix for a while. I don't know why we're getting a little noise. Hopefully that's not coming out through the recording. So it's been on Netflix for a little bit. It's a really interesting story about lies and deception and some miraculous things that happened as well. So let's get into it, okay? So let's see. So first, on November 8th, 2010, Jennifer Pan made a dramatic 911 call claiming that her home had been invaded and her parents had been attacked. During the call, she pretended to be a victim, stating that she was tied up and was unable to help her parents. This call was part of her attempt to cover up her involvement in orchestrating the attack. Okay. So next, we're going to get on to when the police arrived, Jennifer Pan's house, when they got there on that November 8th, 2010, they found a chaotic and tragic scene. Jennifer's mother, Beach Han Pan, had been fatally shot, and her father, Hugh Han Pan, was critically injured but survived. And I hope I said those names close enough. I apologize if I mispronounce. So, on the first day of the investigation, Jennifer Pan was interviewed by police. During this initial interview, she maintained her story of being a victim of the whole home invasion. She described that she was tied up and helpless while the intruders attacked her parents. And we'll talk about this afterwards, but I will mention that when she was explaining how she was tied up, I believe her hands were behind her back, and she goes into great detail, and it was very interesting, and I'll explain more later on that, but keep in mind of that part of the story. Okay, so moving on, the investigator asked Jennifer multiple questions to see if her parents were wealthy. The investigator wondered, is there some reason why they would rob them? Do they have a lot of money, etc.? One that she mentioned is that her parents had, Lexus and a Mercedes, and Jennifer was very cooperative giving some of that information over. Now, Lexus and Mercedes, yes, that's like a well-to-do middle class. It's not necessarily extremely rich. I mean, if you're talking about like just a basic Mercedes class, that could be what? I don't know, back then, 40,000, 50,000. But still, they made good money, but not like they were extremely rich or anything like that. Okay, so then Jennifer Pan's parents, they often described as tiger parents. They had high expectations and were very strict, pushing Jennifer to excel academically and in the extracurricular activities. Both parents fled Vietnam in 1979 and worked hard to provide for their children with opportunities they never had. They emphasized discipline, hard work, and success, which created a lot of pressure for Jennifer. And I'm sure being in the United States and being around a different environment and culture, that kind of clashes with that quite a bit. Okay. Yes. So let's talk about, again, her family lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Markham, Ontario, which is part of the Greater Toronto Area. The area is known for its peaceful residence streets, and it's generally considered a safe and family-friendly community. So it's not like downtown Chicago or anything like that. All right. So Jennifer Pan was involved in several extracurricular activities, as you mentioned, throughout her life. From a young age, she took piano lessons and music theory. She also participated in figure skating training most days of the week. and aspirations of becoming an Olympic figure skater until a knee injury ended up, completely ending her dream. Additionally, she played the flute in her school band. So she's very active and very social, as you could see in these next pictures here. So during her high school, or during her school years, especially in the high school, she played in flute in the school band at the Mary Ward Catholic Secondary School. So she was,
very active,
involved and, try to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
The police did notice the condition of the door at Jennifer Pan's house during the investigation. It was one of the key pieces of evidence that raised suspicions about her story. Jennifer had claimed that the intruders broke into the house, but there were no signs of forced entry. Okay. The inconsistency, along with other evidence, eventually led to the unraveling of Jennifer's involvement in orchestrating the attack. Now, and just a little note here, we're going to go through this documentary. There might be some, what are the words I'm looking for, things that if you want to know more secrets about this documentary, you may want to skip a little bit more to the end, but we maybe have some things that we may let out that you may not want to know if you're going to watch the documentaries to go forward. Day 2, again, of the investigation, it begins. They talk, trying to find more about Jennifer Pan's parents. The police continued to scrutinize Jennifer's account of the events. They conducted more detailed interviews and began to piece together inconsistencies in her story. Investigators also started to gather more evidence from the crime scene and renewed surveillance footage and talking with the neighborhood. So here they are. It's like a domino effect. Once you get one piece of misinformation, sometimes it leads to something else, and then the whole story just kind of falls apart. Chief detectives interviewed a family friend named Hong. She stated the family was very friendly and invited her over for dinner. They were good people. Mm-hmm. And day 3, this is the unraveling of lies. And again, I'm trying to spoil alert here. I don't want to give away, too much here. But day 3, David Wong and was Jennifer's boyfriend at the time of the attack of her parents. By the 3rd day of the investigation, the police were increasingly suspicious of Jennifer's involvement and began to look into her relationships, including her connections with Daniel, and was later found guilty of first-degree murder and attempt murder, his role in everything. So,
so I guess after they start actually investigating him, they start knowing that he had, used to be a drug dealer, and stuff like that. So he basically was definitely involved.
Here's Daniel. I was always walking on eggshells. Daniel talked about their relationship. They're no longer a couple, but still good friends. He felt he always walking on eggshells around her. Her relationship played a crucial role in the events leading up to the attack on Jennifer's parents. Daniel Wong was deeply involved in the plot. Okay, now let's go to day 4, the second interview. Jennifer Pan was subjected to another round of intense questioning by the police. By this time, the investigators had gathered more information and was increasingly suspicious of her involvement in the attack of her parents. They focused on the inconsistencies, as I mentioned, her story, the lack of the forced entry, and the crime scene. And we're purposely leaving out all those details. Remember, this is a documentary review. We're not going through the details of the stories because we'd like you guys to check out the story. So Jennifer Pan's piano teacher provided testimony as well, highlighted Jennifer's feelings about her parents. The teacher recalled her frustration, her lack of freedom, the constant surveillance by her parents. She mentioned that her parents had strict rules. They didn't really want her dating and having a relationship with Daniel Wong. She'd rather focus on all her piano studies and all this other stuff, just have her be focused and be the best she can be. And that gave her a sense of confinement, which wasn't good for her. Okay, doesn't mean you kill your parents, but I'm just explaining why she felt that way.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
Sure. No, just her side of how she felt.
Right, and that's what the piano teacher was mentioning. So on the 5th day of the investigation, Jennifer Pan's father, who was, I think, in a coma, he was really in bad shape. Miraculously, he woke up, provided crucial information that significantly impacted the case. So despite all his severe injuries, he was able to communicate with the police and share those details. And guess what? And it contradicted Jennifer's initial story. Surprise, surprise. By the 14th day of the investigation, he attacked Jennifer Pan's parents. The police gathered substantial evidence pointing to Jennifer's involvement. No surprise there at all either. Jennifer had been texting with her hired burglars to coordinate the attack. Okay. And then after the police unlocked Jennifer's phone, as you can see here, they discovered a series of incrimination through the text messages and revealed that her involvement in planning the attack on her parents. The messages show her coordination and with the hired hitman, including details about the timing of the execution of the plan. The evidence was crucial, obviously, in building the case against her and the accomplices. Again, here I need time of completion. Think about it. Game time, November 8th. Unbelievable. Daniel Wong and his friends were later arrested and charged for their roles in the crime. Wong was found guilty on first-degree murder and attempted murder along with the other accomplices. Jennifer Pan was charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder for her role in orchestrating the attack on her parents. She was arrested on November 22nd, 2010, after the police gathered substantial evidence, including her including all the communications with the hired gunman. She was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. And that is the end of our review in terms of this particular documentary, Chirac. So, first, let's scooch over here. Sorry, I know.
So this blew my mind, so it probably blew your mind too. Yes.
Oh, that worked. Okay, so yes, it was crazy because you talk first. I've been talking.
Oh no, so I just wanted to know. So one thing about when he shot the father, one thing I didn't want to go into details, but he got shot in the face, and it was incredible that he was still alive, and it definitely shocked Jennifer because she knew that she was going to panic because he was going to reveal everything. But it was definitely made a twist in the case, and definitely everything went to Jennifer and of course her accomplices, which was but it's just amazing, how she actually tried to pan this out.
And what the things that started falling apart, I was kind of hinting towards as we're reading this. And again, you guys see the documentary, so don't go by me, but because I don't do it justice. But when she talks about how her hands were tied, and the police go very specifically, show me how your hands, show me how you're able to make that phone call with Dan. And she was able to do it. And they're like, huh? I know, we're getting away too much. You got to see it, the visuals.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Because I don't think she really thought the way through. She thinks she's smart, but... And that's what happens with a lot of these criminals. They think they're so smart. They think better. They're the smartest person in the room. Everybody else is dumb, and they get caught. So
they do.
Chirac, big question. So the folks are going through this real quickly and say, do I really want to watch this or not? Out of 5 stars, what would you give this?
I would definitely give it a 5.
Oh, come on. Really?
Yeah, because it's like you And these are just to people that have kids. Yeah, I think they would definitely can relate to this more. The women, because it's if you have kids, you're trying to raise them up right. Even though the tiger's kind of tough, but everybody wants the best for their kids. Everyone. I don't know anyone out there say, "Oh, I want my kid to be, whatever." I don't want to say the bad words, but be a bum. I want to say.
Yeah.
So
But the documentary, you think it was? I'm not gonna change your mind. I don't want to say the
documentary itself, but I'm just saying the whole.
That's what we're voting on.
So maybe a 4.5. 4. I'll
give you 4.5. How's that?
I say a 4.5.
You said 5. I don't want to change your mind.
Because it was very, very. It could be something that could happen to anyone, right? I mean, anyone that's raising kids is, helping their kids go through school and trying to be the best they can be. Nobody wants their kid to be a bum.
So what's really cool with our show is we got 2 different perspectives, and this is great because depending on, how you like to watch your shows or how you pick your shows.
Right.
So you hear what Chirac is saying. So if you're like, oh, yeah, I get it. I can relate to that human aspect. That's why from my end, I'm more analytical. I like looking at how it was filmed, how it was presented, how it made me feel, more of the technical aspects. And I give it 3.5. I mean, it was a good, it's not a story. It's true crime.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing was, like you said, very amazing to watch it and how the story went. I think it was solid. I think it was a little bit better because the way they did the provide information. But I wouldn't say it really made me emotionally, really bonded to this thing. Oh my God, I got to watch it again. Or I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was just solid, but I thought it was a little bit better based on the way they present information and just the story itself is just unbelievable. So I give it 3.5, 4.5.
I say 4.5, and it's because it's not just relatable. It's something that that happened, and it's a true story. It's something that actually happened. Mm-hmm. Like, can you imagine your child is trying to kill you and your father, and it is just crazy.
And there's so many people involved to think that, like, oh, they're not gonna look this way. Don't worry about that over here.
Right. And one thing, crazy. Of course, I felt kind of jealous in this movie only because, I connected with my life in the past. Like, when I grew up, I would have loved if my mother, no offense, but, due to finances, oh, man, if I would have went figure skating, are you kidding me? People would have loved to have that life.
Yes, it's but I also know a little bit about your past that you would not like that controlling aspect.
I wouldn't like the whole controlling, no.
So there's a blend.
Yeah. Like, I think they was way too strict. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. And, can't date. No, that was just way too much. But, they could have gave her some leeway, too. Right. I really feel bad for Jennifer, too, because, she just wanted to be happy. She wanted to date, and she wanted to do other things.
But you don't kill your parents. But I know you don't. I know. Sorry.
Yeah, but the fact is that I have just so much of both sides, and I do get Jennifer's side so much because I can imagine, you can't see someone and you can't do this, you can't do that, and it was just the tiger, they call it the tiger parenting, right?
Yeah.
It was just way too much.
So you can relate to how she felt, but you don't condone
exactly
this. Yeah, exactly.
Don't condone it at all.
So we're gonna obviously during this I'll show our ratings. You guys can see them one last time, what you think. So usually anything 3 stars or over, we recommend it's worth watching. So even with our average, definitely check it out while it's still on Netflix.
Check it out.
Okay, and look into it further.
Watch.
It's a good watch. And I don't know if we'll be doing too much more of these. We might do it here and there. Yeah. I think people are, with the feedback we're getting, people are more involved, like diving into some of these other topics, which is cool. But enjoy this one as we get into the holiday time too. So anyhow, anything else?
Studio 7-0.
All
Thanks
right.
for watching.
Next time.